the turning point came, as you mentioned, at 8. Wyndham Clark birdies 8. Xander Schauffele misses the birdie putt, makes a par. And that seemed to settle Wyndham, because then he got right back into kind of what we saw on Saturday. He birdies 10, he birdies 12, he birdies 14, he birdies 15. He runs away with this, right? I mean, it was very much a victory lap coming down the Green Mile in a way. I mean, he played the Green Mile like he had a 5-shot lead, and he did. And at the end of the day, it's a 3 under 68. He gets his very first win anywhere in the world. But I was super impressed with the resilience, the ability to kind of see one go down and then reset and take over again.
You know, even after 8, he has a, putt inside of 6 feet on 9 and misses it right there. So that's another opportunity for things to get a little queasy. But again, Xander 3 putts. So there's like this, there's now Wyndham has the opportunity to battle Wyndham. And this is something he's been working on, and staying calm and slowing down. And he never had to chase Xander because of Xander's performance. And if he had, I wonder if things end up differently. But there's nothing Wyndham Clark can do about that. And he had every opportunity to allow this thing to get away. He had every opportunity to fold, and he seemed to step up every time. I mean, I thought the up and down at 2 was huge for him. If he starts bogey there, things get going really fast, and I think settled him a little bit. It was still a little shaky. And then all of a sudden he finds his groove, and we see the skill set that we saw earlier in the week come to life on the back 9.
Let's dive a little bit deeper into this Wyndham Clark stuff. So this was PGA Tour event number 134 for him. Gets the first victory anywhere here. And one of the things that we have very much documented over the course of 2023, Greg, is this unbelievable resurgence on the second shot, irons and wedges, and his ability to pad these massive approach numbers. So starting at the Farmers is where he started to gain multiple strokes on approach seemingly every single week. And you mentioned it, basically his top 5 or 6 all-time career approach weeks have been this year, and they've been since then. Well, he's going to add another one to that record because he gained 8.8 strokes on approach. That's a new career high. I mean, again, I joked last night, whatever he found in La Jolla, we need to be bottling, we need to be selling, we got to figure it all out. But this is an unbelievable turnaround. And if he can continue this with his other skills that he already has, the ability to bomb it, the ability to roll the rock, like, that's dangerous.
Yes. And he's stayed on the PGA Tour for this amount of time because of his ability to bomb it and his ability to roll the rock. And what's kept him out of legitimate contention, what's kept him out of any of the conversations we've had about Xander Schauffele or any of these other great players. What's kept him out of the conversations of not winning enough is not contending enough. And he doesn't contend enough because of the iron play. Now all of a sudden he figures that out, and now he's done it down the stretch. And I have to think that's going to go a long way for him. The official number, it's now 6. His 6 best events of the year are his 6 best performances with his irons ever. And you add the RBC Heritage into that, there are 2 in between, right? The Genesis from 2022 and the 2019 3M Open are the only ones in between. So you're talking about 7 of his best 9 have happened this year in 2023. It's absolutely outrageous. And again, I mean, like you said, Rick, we'd love to ask him about what happened to your iron play. And I wonder if this is a mental approach, if this is a strategy game. It's one thing that's evident to me in the strokes gain department. We talked about it with Sung Jae Im last night, I believe, where he led the field in proximity to the hole, but was in the he was like 53rd place or something approaching the green because he made a couple big mistakes. So you can gain strokes by playing smart. And I get the sense that Wyndham is gaining strokes by not losing strokes, and cumulatively over the course of a round, that stuff adds up, and it leads to contention for him.
The other thing is he joined Club 19, which is gaining 19 strokes or more in a single tournament. That has now only been done twice this season. So he gained 19 and a half this week. The only other time this season that it's happened was last week in Mexico. Tony Finau did it. Think about the difference between the field in Mexico last week and the field that Wyndham Clark just did this in this week.
And think about the golf course.
Yeah.
Right. How much it doesn't take anything away from Tony Finau, but it just highlights what Wyndham Clark did on a major championship level golf course against a major championship level field. He tore him apart. He was by far the best player, with the exception of 5 holes today. It's impressive stuff.
The 19 strokes gain mark has only been achieved on the PGA Tour. This is the 5th time since the start of the 2021 season. So 2 full seasons and then this half of a season. So really incredible stuff. I mean, I guess, what is next for Wyndham, right? I hate it's so unfair to start talking about that conversation immediately after getting your first PGA Tour victory. But I think, Greg, you and I are very bullish, or have been very bullish, on what we've seen in 2023. And if this is not just a hot run with his irons and wedges, and he's now this guy on the second shot, seemingly the sky's the limit.
The more I hear from him, the more I like it. This isn't some, somebody gave me a tip on the range and it clicked. And, those things wear off. They're great. I wouldn't shy away from them, but they're not a sign that there are great things to come. But when he talks about the developing of the mental skills, whatever those are that he's working on, the ability to slow down, the awareness that he showed in his press conference last night. I mean, we were on air, but I got to watch it after, and he talked about how fast he gets with his swing, with his pace, with his walking. And that's a level of self-awareness that not a lot of players have. And as you start to put these puzzle pieces together and really understand it, now you're talking about a skill set that is ready to shine through, right? And whatever this skill set is, you can live up to that potential, play to that potential. And it feels like Wyndham Clark he certainly was at that place this week. But what I really like is it's been building toward that all year. So I don't see this as a flash in the pan. I mean, are we going to get an exhale out of Wyndham? Am I going to pick him to win the PGA? I wouldn't be surprised if there was a couple of middling events over his next couple of starts. That wouldn't surprise me at all. It also wouldn't deter me from thinking that you're going to see performances like this much more. Not like this week, but performances like we've seen so far this year leading up to it. I think that's going to become kind of the norm for him.
Wyndham Clark will move to 5th in the FedEx Cup standings. He will move to 31st in the official world golf rankings, and he will be in the Masters for the first time, something he has not done before. And, oh, by the way, how about this, Greg? $3.6 million for Wyndham Clark and the win this week. Do you want to guess, since joining the tour in 2019, playing 133 events before this, what his career earnings were before this week?
400,000. 417,000
for his career.
What?
For his career?
I feel like I heard that on the broadcast. I may have been I'm trying to cheat.
Don't cheat.
No, what were they?
100. So he's been on the tour since 2019. He's kept his tour card, so he's got to make more.
Yeah, right. It's probably What, 4.6 million?
That's getting better. Yeah, 7.4. So he made 50% of what he's made in his entire career. He made today. That's pretty sick.
That is nice, to say the least.
Wasn't there also something like, okay, Josh is coming in. They said that was his previous biggest check ever was $400.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? I should have done a better job listening to you.
That's okay.
You know, and I did hear
now,
that.
See, if my wife just said something like that, you know, I should have done a better job. Finally, someone has said that to me.
Well, that should make your mistakes, right?
Yeah, right. It's usually me going, I should have listened to you. Yeah. There's a joke that's like, you know, my wife said to me, you never listen when I talk. And I thought that was a weird way to start a conversation. Which I think is pretty funny.
That is funny.
Anything else on, God, I'm so close to calling it the Wyndham Championship every single time. The Wells Fargo Championship, before I move on to our best bets and one and done.
You could call it the Wyndham Clark Championship.
I
don't know. I guess this last question would be, is this I know it's not a Ricky Fowler or a Rory McIlroy type thing, but, you know, the first wins of Rory coming here, Ricky coming here, Max Homa coming here. It feels like the guys that win here for the first time, it's a significant place to win. And I do think that it's hard to win here with just a flash in the pan.
I was going to say, I'll tell you what, think about the careers of those guys, right? Obviously not
after this.
Correct. Right. You've got to have, and this is, without looking it up, I imagine this is the best field this event has ever had.
I would imagine as well.
Right. So a golf course that asks for a lot, guys that got their first win ended up having and still are having really great careers. And this was the deepest field it's ever seen. I tend to agree that this is a really good sign. It's just weird because we talked about it last night. You know, there hasn't been a lot of these guys that are around for 3 or 4 years, all of a sudden find something. And then is that real or not is basically the question.
Yeah. And to know if that's real, I mean, that takes time to figure that out, right? It could be, he could have a great season with his iron play and it could regress again next season. So again, where does that leave us? But this is really significant, and it's been going on for quite a while now. So I'm watching to see, and I'm going to give him a couple of, probably a month or so where I'll give him a lot of space. I expect an exhale to some degree. That happens all the time with winners. But I think by the time summer rolls around, you're going to see this kind of Wyndham Clark playing a lot more often.